After 341 years, a mysterious jumble of archaic script, allegedly written by an Italian nun possessed by Satan, has finally been unraveled. This, at the time, was unraveled in 2017. So at that time, that was 341 years. 2021, we're at what, 345 years at this time? So this is a little bit back in the day. Scientists have accomplished the feat through the use of a code breaker they discovered on the deep web. According to the Times, the letter was written by Italian sister Maria Crocifissa Della Concezione in the 17th century. She was born Isabella Tomasi and became a nun when she was 15 years old. Live Science reports that the nun was 31 years of age when the letter was written. The legend claims that after a long battle between the nun and Satan, the letter was found in the nun's hand on August 11th, 1676, when she awoke from a fainting spell in her room with her face smeared with ink. This event took place at the cloistered Nunnery of Palma di Montechiaro in the province of Agrigento in Sicily. Apparently, the nun and her sisters could not decode the text at the time, but over the years they decided that it must be the work and words of Satan trying to convince the young nun to turn away from her faith. Live Science says a written account about the occurrences by Abbess Maria Serafica attests to Sister Maria's courage, claiming Satan would have tried to force the nun to sign the letter. Yet, Sister Maria apparently opposed the demand by writing Ohime, which translates to "Oh me" instead. The content of the rest of the text has been a mystery for centuries. According to La Stampa, a monastery even offered a month-long vacation in Agrigento for the person who managed to decode it in the 1960s, but no one was able to do so until recently. A team from the Ludum Science Center in Sicily used a code-cracking algorithm found on the deep web. The same software, apparently, is allegedly used by unspecified intelligence services. CIA, most likely. Daniele Abate, director of the Ludum Science Center, said, "We heard about the software, which we believe is used by intelligence services for code breaking. We primed the software with ancient Greek, Arabic, the runic alphabet, and Latin to descramble some of the letter and show that it really is devilish." By using the software, Live Science reports the scientists have managed to decipher all 14 lines of the letter. The software used an algorithm to detect common characters and compared them to the most similar characters in various alphabets. Quote, "The letter appeared as if it was written in shorthand. We speculated that Sister Maria created a new vocabulary using ancient alphabets that she may have known," Abate said. "We analyzed how the syllables and graphisms, or thoughts depicted as symbols, repeated in the letter in order to locate vowels, and we ended up with a refined decryption algorithm. The letter is inconsistent and rambles somewhat incoherently on the connections between God, humans, and Satan. It claims that God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are, quote, dead weights, unquote, and goes on to say that humans invented God and Zoroaster. It also asserts that God thinks he can free mortals, adding, quote, this system works for no one, unquote. Finally, It seems to refer to the river Styx, which separates the earth and the underworld in Greek and Roman mythology. In a curious phrase, perhaps now, Styx is certain. Some people see the letter's content as chilling, or as possible proof that Sister Maria Crocifissa Della Concezione had been possessed by the devil, while others say it was the nun's elaborate creation. For his part, Daniel Abate believes the nun had bipolar disorder or schizophrenia and may have experienced hallucinations and delusions. The image of the devil is often present in these disorders. We learn from historical records that every night she screamed and fought against the devil, Abate said. He also told the media, quote, "This is a precise alphabet, invented by the nun with great care by mixing symbols she knew. Each symbol is well thought out and structured. There are signs that are repeated, perhaps an intentional and perhaps unconscious initiative. The stress of life in the monastery was very strong," unquote. According to Italian News Radio 105, Sister Maria Crocifissa Della Concezione had received 2 more messages from Satan, but she was unwilling to write or reveal their content. Yeah. So that's definitely odd indeed. It goes on to say Sister Maria had joined the Benedictine convent when she was 15 years old. She was well known and liked by the other sisters and the abbess. Said one day in August of 1676, when she was 31 years old, she was found on the floor, as I said, covered with ink all over her face. And when she woke up, the nun claimed that she was possessed by Satan, who made her write the letters, but she resisted and wrote only Ohime, as I said before, for which she was later blessed. Indeed. I always find it interesting how, scientists and researchers that look back on these kinds of things like to kind of toss up maybe the possibility of them having like schizophrenia, things like that. Obviously it's a big deal nowadays, but how prevalent was it, say, in 1676? I wouldn't know. I'd have to look at that a lot closer, but could it have been maybe people did have it more like widespread, but obviously medical journals and medical treatments and such, and just the medical field in general wasn't as advanced as it is now, so people didn't know what it was, didn't know whether they were possessed, or maybe they were having spells of schizophrenia, but the people didn't really know too much about it at all at that time, if any. So they were just attributing it to it being the devil, which happens a lot throughout history. Or could it have been that she actually was possessed by the devil? I mean, I've always had this thought that you always hear of these things, like people being able to speak to the devil, or to demons, or speak to angels, or all kinds of things. They're just more in tune. I used to not really pay too much attention to people that say they were psychics, or like or they were more sensitives, or whatever they're called. Those people that you always see like on shows. They go into haunted places and they pretend like they're talking to ghosts, or maybe they really are. But whenever I would hear people talk about that kind of stuff, or say, "Oh, I'm a medium," or I'm sensitive, or this and that, I would immediately like roll my eyes and just be like, "Oh, okay, whatever." But what if back in the days, definitely not in the last 1,000 years, but maybe beyond that. Maybe people were really, I guess, more in tune with that kind of side of the universe or the world or existence, where, say, like the times of Jesus, even before that, maybe people really were in tune with, speaking to animals or being able to speak to the other side, ghosts or demons and angels, and being able to speak to all kinds of things. Maybe they just were more sensitive and more open, and as time progressed, we lost that. I think that's definitely possible. It could have been possible back then. Because it kind of makes you wonder, right? I mean, there's always been stories of demons and the devil and all kinds of things throughout history. Definitely in the 16th century, but there was no like TV, and there was obviously no TV, no internet, none of that stuff. No, not really books or newspapers to speak of, really. So where would they get this kind of information to fake? Or maybe it's just that they had too much time on their hands, and they really did have enough time to think up some crazy stuff and make stories up and things like that. So I mean, there's definitely two sides to it. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. They didn't really make any kind of mention of whether she was really educated or not. But they said that she had a real understanding or grasp on different languages and such. So I mean, I would guess that she had some kind of formal education to be able to understand different languages and be very well versed in them, to be able to make up like these codes and things like this, like she was writing. So I mean, it's just hard. Because if she did have schooling, she was able to write and understand different languages, maybe she did have the time. Being a nun, you have, I don't know, I've never spoken to a nun, but I would imagine you'd have a good amount of free time to yourself. Maybe she could have created some kind of code language or something else with different languages put all together. But I mean, during those times, not everybody was educated, so maybe it really was the devil speaking through her, or demons, or anybody else, Satan. It's definitely interesting. I mean, it's definitely scary, for the most part. The messages that were put through her. Let me try to find that again. That God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit were dead weights. Whatever that means. I mean, you can draw your own conclusions of that. The fact that it said that humans invented God and Zoroaster. So I've always had this thought for the longest time. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe in God, and I read the Bible and all that stuff. I'm a believer, right? But I've always had a fear that what if there really was no God or no Jesus or any of that, and that was just the creation by people at the time, wanting there to be more after we're dead, and wanting there to be more in the afterlife. That would really suck. For all these years we've been believing, thousands of years, and that, I mean, we won't actually know until we're dead, right? That's going to be the ultimate know when. Once we're gone, we're all gonna find out for sure whether it's real or not. I mean, I believe that it is, and I have no doubts in my mind, but that it is. But I've always just had that one thought, like, man, what if it really isn't? Like, what do we do? And I know that kind of sounds dumb because I just said I know for a fact in my heart that it's real, but then I say, what if it's not? It's just always been one of those kind of weird thoughts that that I would think about. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we're all gonna find out one day. Yeah, I thought this was definitely interesting and kind of freaky as heck. You know, whether it was schizophrenia or not, it makes you wonder what kind of demons she was actually battling in her mind, in her heart. You know, even if she had schizophrenia, that just leaves her open to more attacks that way, because she's so vulnerable, you know. So it doesn't necessarily explain it away just by saying, oh, well, she had schizophrenia. Well, yeah, maybe she did, but, you know, she would have her soul more open and susceptible to attacks. So the devil would definitely run through her a lot easier than you and I. So that just wouldn't explain it away. It's definitely creepy as heck. It's always weird when you think about, you would think that people of the church, nuns, priests, you know, things like that, cardinals, pope, would be believers, much bigger believers than you and I. You would think that they'd be protected from these kinds of attacks, but it's actually quite the opposite. I've heard a lot of stories about priests and the pope and nuns and everything being attacked, and that's probably, it actually makes a lot more sense because they're the ones that believe in them, or should believe in the most. I know priests that don't believe in the devil, don't believe in Jesus Christ per se, or God, that there is a God, which is ridiculous, right? So why would you be a priest if you don't believe in the devil or God or anything like that? It happens. There's priests out there that don't believe in it. There's cardinals that don't believe in it. So you tell me what that means, but you know, the ones that do, it would make sense that they would be attacked the most, right? Because they're one step closer to God or Jesus than we are. So if they're the wall that stands between the devil and us going to heaven, you know, they'd obviously be attacked more than we would. So it's kind of weird, but still creepy as hell. Yeah, guys, appreciate you guys stopping in. You guys let me know what you think. Shoot me an email or hit down in the comment section as well. We can go over it. Maybe put together another video. I have all social media down below. Everybody make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you aren't already a subscriber. Like and share with your friends. And also turn on that bell icon so you don't miss an episode in the future. Appreciate you guys. You guys stay blessed out there. Stay safe. Stay frosty.